And so as for myself, I actually have a computer science background, and I worked for Microsoft for many years, and I joined the school
Microsoft por muitos anos, tem uma base em computação. Pierre, if you would just talk in short sentences so I can translate almost simultaneously.
Okay, all right, I'll do one sentence at a time. So
okay, thank you.
I joined the school initially as a parent in 2001. And
em 2001, ele entrou como pai da escola Peninsula.
And then I joined the board. Then eventually from the board, I became the school administrator. And
ele fez parte da associação e depois entrou como administrador da escola.
And my wife eventually became a Waldorf teacher, and she's actually
se tornou uma professora Waldorf.
And she took a class from 1st grade to 8th grade, and
pegou uma classe da primeira à 8ª série.
And now she's with the 2nd class, and she's in 5th grade.
Agora está com uma segunda classe no 5º ano.
And she's doing the high school Waldorf teacher training.
E está fazendo o treinamento de professores do ensino médio.
So that's, I guess, trying to be short, that's basically where we are. And I'm actually currently in France because of my parents have a health problem, and I'm coming back in 2 days.
Ele teve que ir para a França porque os pais estão com problemas de saúde e vai retornar daqui a 2 dias. E basicamente é isso que ele, para a apresentação inicial, é isso.
So I don't know what what you're looking for, what's your interest. I know it's a little bit, but I can tell you what we're doing right now if that's what interests you, or we can start with questions. I don't know exactly I don't have anything that's prepared. So
ele não preparou nada, ele também não sabe bem o que a gente quer, mas talvez pudesse começar contando um pouco da experiência dele ou já respondendo perguntas que a gente possa fazer a ele. Maybe you start talking about your experience first.
Okay, so maybe I think you're interested in the COVID part of the experience, right? In going online and doing all of that, right?
Good.
Isso. A pergunta é se está interessada como é que eles manobraram agora com a questão do COVID, de ter que fazer à distância.
Also, perhaps a comment based on the film, the social dilemma.
E talvez comente nesse documentário o dilema social.
Yeah. Okay. So the social dilemma, I actually have not watched the film, but I know the people who've made it. They actually came to the school, and I've had several meetings with them, so I know what they're doing. And
sim, então ele, com esse documentário, ele próprio não assistiu ainda, mas ele conhece várias das pessoas que fizeram o documentário e que foram até a escola e tiveram entrevistas com ele. Ele sabe o que eles estão fazendo.
So, okay, so maybe I'll start with the story of the school and the connection of the school and technology. Maybe we start with that.
A escola começa com a relação com a tecnologia.
So in 2011, there was a reporter from the New York Times.
Houve repórter do New York Times
who came to the school, and he wrote an article called the Silicon Valley School Does Not Compute.
E ele escreveu uma reportagem dizendo a escola do Vale do Silício que não computa.
The whole article was about our school, and he explained why the parents from Silicon Valley would send their kids to a school that does not have computers.
Tratava-se dessa escola da Península e por que os pais que são do Vale do Silício vão para essa escola que não computa.
And it was the 3rd most read article in the year in the New York Times.
Aquele ano foi o terceiro artigo com maior leitura nos Estados Unidos.
And so that was an immense success.
Foi sucesso.
And it attracted a lot of press and a lot of questions. And
Atraiu
obviously,
muita imprensa e perguntas.
and so what we told people is we were not against technology, but it's just that
que não éramos contra a tecnologia,
but that the technology did not was not the right tool for teaching.
mas que a tecnologia não era a ferramenta certa para lecionar.
And that the technology could not replace teachers.
E que tecnologia não é capaz de substituir professor.
And we went to explain that, and they, from 2011 until now, or until COVID, there was always a lot of interest. We continue to have TVs from all over the world coming to the school.
E desde 2011 até o Covid, nós tivemos sempre muita gente interessada, reportagens na televisão, em função dessa postura.
And we had, so actually when I came to France, I found out that 3 weeks ago, I was on French TV from a reporter who came in January, and it just came out, and there's also something going on in Germany and in Spain. So there's still a lot of interest.
Agora eu me dei conta de que 2 dias antes passou uma reportagem na televisão comigo, que foi feita em fevereiro desse ano. Isso agora na França, mas a coisa também está se espalhando para a Alemanha, para a Espanha.
And so that when COVID started, we had to close our school for in-person learning.
Quando o Covid começou, nós tivemos que fechar a escola e o processo de aprendizado.
That was in March, and in
Isso foi em
48 hours, we turned the school into online learning.
E em 48 horas nós mudamos a escola para uma escola de aprendizado online.
And at first we were, I think, a bit reluctant to do it. We did a lot of online classes in high school, but as we were going down to the grades, it was very, very minimal.
Fizemos muitas aulas começando no colegial, mas na medida que a gente ia avançando para as classes mais novas, foi se tornando cada vez mais difícil.
So in grade 1 to 5th, at that time there was no screen time, so there was no time where the teachers and the students would interact through the screen, but instead they were recordings.
De início não havia aquela interação momentânea entre professor e aluno diante da tela, mas era mais a partir de gravações.
So then there was the summer break, which is July to end of August for us.
De julho ao final de agosto teve as férias de verão.
When we didn't do anything with the students.
Onde não fizemos nada com os alunos.
And then when we came back, we realized that we would not be able to come back to the campus right away. We actually just coming back now.
Ao saindo das férias, nós demos conta que não podíamos retornar às aulas presenciais, que está só começando a acontecer agora.
And so and the parents could not stand not having school, or they did not see that they could do for a long time what we had done before.
E os pais já estavam impacientes, já viram que não dava mais para continuar como a gente vinha vindo com essas aulas à distância.
So we started something, the teachers worked and created a new online experience.
E aí os professores criaram uma experiência online nova.
Called Real School.
Chamada Escola Real, Escola Verdadeira.
And the the idea, and real is, remote experiential learning, right?
E o real é a experiência de aprendizado remoto.
Okay, so they created an experience that is different for the high school, the middle school, and the lower school, and the kindergartens.
Uma experiência diferenciada para o ensino médio, Fundamental 2 e Fundamental 1.
So in grade 1 to 5th, there is about 45 minutes with the class teacher in the morning.
Do primeiro ao quinto ano, são 45 minutos diariamente com o professor de classe.
And then there are assignments, things that children do at home.
Aí eles têm tarefas que eles têm que fazer em casa.
Then with some classes, so the second language is Spanish. So in Spanish, the teacher actually also again interact with the students through the screen.
Então, a segunda língua lá é o espanhol, então o professor de espanhol também também interage com o aluno através da tela.
Eurythmy is also done with the teacher, the eurythmy teacher, and the students through the screen.
A euritmia também é feita através da tela, os alunos vendo o professor fazer isso na tela e repetindo em casa.
And then outside of that, there's something called asynchronous, which is, the teachers record, record things like how to do, a form drawing or something like that. It's all recorded and sent to the students.
Coisas que são gravadas e como, por exemplo, desenho de formas e outros vídeos de instrução.
And then after that, we went through that, and now we authorized to come back to campus. So we are reopening our campuses.
Depois disso, nós fomos autorizados a retornar à escola.
So we already have nursery and kindergartens that have been back since mid-August.
E desde meados de agosto, os jardins de infância e os maternais voltaram.
And then the rest is coming back next week.
E o resto retorna a próxima semana.
And we've done already several days where the students come on campus for just one day.
E nós já praticamos, já fizemos vários dias no qual os alunos vêm uma vez por semana para a escola. Isso já foi feito.
And so, but what's happening is that not everybody can come back. Right? So
o que acontece é que nem todos vão conseguir voltar.
So some as we have to manage COVID, so we have to test and we have to do things like that, and we have to check for symptoms. And so there are situations where students have to stay home until they get tested.
Então, por conta do COVID, é necessário fazer testes e os alunos precisam ficar em casa até o teste dar negativo.
Or if they have a contact with someone who had COVID or something like that.
Ou eles tiveram contato com alguém de COVID.
So for them, we designed something different, which is called Remote School Option, RSO.
Então, para esses fizeram algo diferente, é a opção escolar remota.
And that's a lot less than real.
Isso é muito menos do que o real.
And we have also parents who are very fearful of have a different risk profile and don't want to send their children to school.
E temos pais que estão com muito medo de mandarem seus filhos de volta para a escola, preferem não fazê-lo.
And so for them, we also allow the children to be part of RSO.
E para eles também a gente permitiu que fizessem parte desse programa, não só para aqueles que estavam impedidos por alguma constatação, mas também por opção.
And so the teachers are going to be teaching with the class, and it's part of it is indoor and part of it is outdoors.
Sorry, can you say that again? Sorry.
So I said that the teachers are in their classes and they're teaching on campus. Part of it is done indoors and part of it is done outdoors.
E os professores vão estar lecionando parte dentro das salas de aula e parte fora das salas de aula, ao ar livre.
And at the same time, they have children that are remote.
E ao mesmo tempo ainda tem os alunos que têm aulas remotas.
So there are some.
Sorry, Pierre.
Yeah.
It will be simultaneous.
It will be what?
Simultaneous, or will it be?
No, I'm going to explain what it is. So,
Okay.
So for the students that are remote, from some parts of the classes, the teachers are allowed to have a camera in the classroom to just, the students can only see the teacher, they cannot see the other students, right?
Para o modo remoto, então, em alguns momentos das aulas, são usadas câmeras que os alunos que estão à distância só veem o professor, não conseguem ver os colegas.
And we call that streaming.
Isso a gente chama de streaming.
And it's only for, in the lower grade, it's only going to be for like half an hour a day maximum.
E no ensino fundamental, isso vai ser no máximo por meia hora por dia.
It's going to be the things that, a teacher can explain on the board, for instance, circle time, all the experiential things are not going to be able to go through the camera.
Are not going to be.
No, they're not going to be. All the, if you do circle, you can't have the camera follow the teacher or anything like that, right? So the circle is not going to be shown. But if the teacher does something on the board for half an hour, that's what they're going to get.
Tá. Então, nesse momento, o entorno não é mostrado, fica concentrado no que o professor faz na lousa.
And then the second part is that there are things that are going to be recorded and sent to the students.
E uma outra parte é material que vai ser gravado e enviado aos alunos. Tem, então, o modo streaming e esse modo gravado.
And so that when we send things to the student, we call that asynchronous. And, things like...
you call it?
Asynchronous.
Assíncrono.
Yeah.
Então, a denominação para isso é assíncrono.
And, think, for instance, if a first grade teacher is reading a story, he can record the story and send that later on.
Então, por exemplo, o assíncrono é quando o professor está contando uma história para os alunos ao vivo. Essa história é gravada e mandada depois, quer dizer, não é no mesmo momento que ele está contando.
And then we have something called live. So live is when a teacher is going to take the remote student and work with them on the screen.
E um terceiro momento é o momento chamado live, que é quando o professor está diretamente, exclusivamente vinculado com o aluno à distância.
And when we do live, they only work with the remote students. They're not in the classroom at the same time.
É exclusivamente com os alunos à distância. Não é com os alunos que estão em sala de aula.
And then in the middle of the week, on Wednesday,
no meio da semana, na quarta-feira,
everybody is going to be remote. So they won't be on campus.
Todo mundo entra por modo remoto, não estará presente na escola.
And we do that because for several reasons. First, when they're on campus, everybody has masks. So
Então, nós fazemos isso por várias razões. A primeira, uma delas é que enquanto o pessoal está presente na escola, todo mundo está usando máscara.
And so because of the mask, one day a week, the students can see each other's faces and the teacher's face.
No, I didn't understand that. If
so
they are
when on Wednesday, when everybody's home and they work through the computer, then they can see the faces of the other people.
Okay, another mask. Okay. Então, na quarta-feira, quando todo mundo está em casa, é a oportunidade de cada um ver o rosto do outro sem máscara.
And we also have rules that on campus we need to have 2 meters between people. And
Também temos regras na escola, o distanciamento de 2 metros entre eles.
And so there's some group work that can't happen on campus.
Então, tem trabalhos em grupos que não conseguem acontecer no campus. May I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
How is this distancing? How does this distancing happen in the kindergarten?
In the kindergarten, we don't follow the distancing. So in kindergarten, we know that it's impossible to do.
A pergunta é como é que esse distanciamento acontece no jardim de infância? Eles não, lá não acontece. And masks, do they use masks in kindergarten?
So they're starting to use masks now.
They are?
Yeah, so not everybody's using masks, but more and more students. So the students who can, not every student can do it, but the students who are able to do it are using masks.
I'm asking about the children in kindergarten.
Yeah. So the children in kindergarten, we have 2 kindergarten. There's one where every student now is able to use masks. And in the other, it's about, I think, half of them are using masks.
Então,
and they have
máscaras no jardim de infância, tem onde todos usam e outro onde a metade não está usando.
And they have mask breaks, they don't use masks all the time, right? And then they're outdoors, they don't go indoors.
Tá, então eles não usam máscara o tempo todo no jardim de infância e também eles não entram em sala de aula, eles ficam fora.
And so because of the distance rules, there's some group work that cannot happen. And so we make some of that happen on Wednesdays.
Então, aqueles trabalhos em grupos que não podem acontecer por conta do distanciamento social, acontecem na quarta-feira.
And the last thing that we cannot do, we're not allowed to sing. And so on Wednesdays we sing.
Uma das coisas que não se pode fazer é cantar. Por isso, canta-se às quartas-feiras.
Because when you sing, you create aerosols, and it's more contagious than when you speak.
Quando você canta, você cria aerosóis mais contagiosos do que quando você fala.
And we also cannot play wind instruments, so we cannot play the recorder, we cannot play the trumpet, we cannot play any of that on campus. So we do that on Wednesdays.
Não tocar nenhum instrumento de sopro na escola.
So that's kind of where we're at. It's a strange world, and it's a strange thing to do.
Nos encontramos, é um mundo estranho, são coisas estranhas de se fazer.
But we have, a lot of parents don't like online learning. They don't see it. They're missing the social aspect. Children are missing so much.
Mas muitos pais não estão de acordo com esse aprendizado à distância e sentem a falta do contato social.
And so we have about 75% of the parents who are coming back on campus, right?
Então acontece que nós temos mais ou menos 75% dos pais que retornam à escola, quer dizer, cujos alunos retornam à escola presencial.
And 25% are not returning, some of them because the children have health issues, like immunodepressed children, asthma, or things like that. And so COVID is too dangerous for them.
Vários deles porque têm problemas de saúde.
And then we have also parents who we have rich parents who've decided to just sort of take a vacation, and they're working remotely. They went to Hawaii, they went to Germany, they went to all sorts of places.
Mais abastados que resolveram tomar férias e fazem o aprendizado à distância, independente de onde estiverem no mundo.
And so we expect that they will slowly come, they're doing remote right now, but they will slowly come back.
E a gente espera que, estando agora em aulas remotas, daqui a pouco eles retornem.
And we have parents who are just saying, hey, it's too risky. I'm going to wait to see how it goes before I send my children.
And could you say the percentage you have from these parents?
These different groups, I don't have, together it's about 25%, all these three groups.
But
right?
Those who are afraid, who could come but are afraid of coming.
Well, it's probably 15%.
Ok, então eu perguntei a ele, desses 25% de crianças que não retornam por várias razões, qual a porcentagem que ele vê dos pais que poderiam estar voltando, mas não querem? Ele falou mais ou menos 15%.
15? You said 50. Who decides what to record or not? Quem decide o que deve ser gravado ou não das aulas? How are you working the planning of that?
So each teacher decides what they want to do, right, in the classroom. So there's a decision that was made of the amount of screen time for the different grades, the different branches, but then the teachers are free to do.
Okay. Foi estabelecido entre os professores um acordo do tempo máximo de exposição à tela, e dentro desse tempo de exposição à tela é o professor que decide como ele quer usar.
So in grade 1 to 3, they decided that the main lesson is not streamed.
Por exemplo, no primeiro ao terceiro ano, decidiu-se que não há essa versão do streaming, que é aquele atendimento direto que o professor... Não, peraí. Não. O streaming é...
Streaming
Manda o professor na hora que ele está dando a aula. Simultâneo.
Tá, é isso. Obrigado, Carlos. É isso.
É um ensino síncrono.
Então, de primeiro a terceiro ano, não acontece isso da criança em casa poder estar vendo o que o professor está fazendo em sala de aula.
Na aula de época. Na aula principal.
Eu não sei.
Foi o que ele disse.
And 4th and 5th, they stream, I think, half an hour of the main lesson.
Entendi. Quarto e quinto ano, meia hora da aula principal é passada para quem está longe.
And then after that, they stream more longer. They do more streaming afterwards in middle school and high school.
But not more than 45 minutes? Is that the maximum?
Yes, so there's a maximum, not in high school, but in the middle school, yeah.
No ensino fundamental 2, máximo de 45 minutos, mas no colegial, não. No colegial, in high school, what's the time? Or no, there is no limit?
There's no limit in high school.
Então, para o ensino médio, não há limite de tempo de transmissão.
And Pierre, do they have, as a group, the teachers, a concern of balancing art activities with other activities? Se eles têm uma preocupação enquanto grupo de professores de ter um equilíbrio entre aulas artísticas e aulas que não são artísticas, aulas de artes, né?
So yeah, so they try to balance. There's still art classes, they're done differently. For instance, I know in high school, there's a painting class where they ask the students to create paint from cabbage, coffee, and things like that. So they did everything at home. So yes.
Então, por exemplo, no ensino médio, há um incentivo a que os alunos explorem a obtenção de cor para fazerem pinturas a partir de repolho, a partir de outras coisas que talvez eles tenham em casa.
Café.
Não é, Luciana?
And then
And that is every day? Every day?
So there's art every day.
All
It's
right.
different kind of art than what we do on campus, right? It's they have to invent
Tem
something
aula de
different.
artes todos os dias, mas não é aquela que acontece normalmente quando estivessem na escola.
All right. Gente, vocês têm pergunta?
What else can I tell you? So we're just starting to do RSO and coming back, so we don't have a lot of experience with that.
And
we said we would be. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, go on.
And we said we would reassess in in 2 months, in December.
What are you going to do in December?
We're going to look at the experience, what worked, what didn't work, and we might change things.
Então, eles se propuseram a fazer uma reavaliação ou uma avaliação dessa experiência em dezembro, para ver o que deu certo, o que não deu certo. And how is the administration of the school being done in this moment?
So the administration, part of it
A administração da escola está sendo feita agora nesse momento.
So it was remote until now. Everybody was working from home.
Era remoto até agora, todos trabalhando de casa.
Except for the people who are like doing maintenance and working on the campus.
Fora as pessoas que estavam no campus trabalhando com manutenção.
And then in September, we're starting having face-to-face meetings for the board and the management team.
Então, em setembro começou a ter encontros presenciais do conselho da associação e do time administrativo, do grupo administrativo.
Yeah, and then and now we're starting having obviously more administrative people coming back on campus.
E agora, gradativamente, o pessoal da administração está voltando para o campus.
Okay, and I see a question in the chat box about humming.
Yes, there are some. So there is one as saying this humming would be a possibility. You cannot sing, but perhaps humming would be a possibility.
So and humming, we do humming.
All right.
Humming is fine.
Eles trabalham não com canto, mas o murmurar, o boca que usa é uma possibilidade presencial. There is a question, how about the teachers training seminars? I'll read all of them, all right? And then you can choose which one you would like to answer first.
Yeah,
and
so the
garden in nursery, what's the amount of children per day? About recording. Do they record the teacher full body, or is it allowed to hands appearing for the kids that are at home? Was this a subject for discussion? Because by one side you have this question about the human being whole image formation, and on the other side it is hard to focus when you have the entire person, and it's more easy when you have just hands for some kids. Which basic equipments and tools are you using for making all these transmissions or contact with the students? Okay, so I'll try to remember all the questions. So the teacher training. So the teacher trainings, our school doesn't do teacher training, but the others that are doing teacher training have gone online, and they do online teacher training.
Could you say this? A Carla fez uma série de perguntas que puseram no chat para ele, e ele está começando a responder primeiro para aquele assunto da formação de professores. Could you just repeat what you started to answer about the teachers training?
Eu posso falar, Peter. Ele disse que a formação de professores foi para o modo online. Eles não a formação na escola dele, mas que os seminários foram para o online.
Entendi, tá. Obrigado.
Okay, so there was a question about nurseries. You wanted to know how many
Yeah,
children
how many
were in-
kids, yeah,
Yeah,
per day
so
are
right
allowed?
now, each class has 9 to 10.
9 to
But
10?
we could,
9 to 10 from how many?
what do you mean from how many?
No,
Three
because here,
classes.
here there is allowed just a percentage.
Oh,
of-
no. Okay. So the way we worked is that we submitted a plan to the health authorities, and we have to create something called a cohort. And that means the class, the children and the teachers cannot mix with the other classes and the other teachers.
Tá.
Então,
Espera um pouquinho, pera.
é um esquema de bolhas.
Espera, Carla. Carla, espera, deixa eu fazer isso. Porque senão a gente se confunde aqui. Então, ele está falando que eles fizeram um acordo com as autoridades de saúde, no qual eles garantem que não há uma mistura de uma classe com a outra. E o número que ele deu inicialmente era de 9 crianças por sala. Agora, eu preciso saber melhor se...
Eu posso explicar.
Se a sala...
São grupos de crianças de 9 a 10 no máximo, mesmo se uma classe tem mais do que isso, uma bolha, que aqui no Brasil chama bolha, não pode se misturar com a outra. Então, aquele grupo de 9 a 10 são sempre aquelas mesmas crianças. Elas não podem se misturar com outros grupos. Foi isso que ele falou, e isso está sendo a orientação no Brasil também.
And the size of the cohort depends on where the county is in terms of the number of COVID cases and hospitalization and things like that. So the county can be in, there are 4 different levels, and depending which level it is, we have to do different things.
Tudo isso está dependendo do grau, são 4 graus do Covid no município, e dependendo em que grau está, as possibilidades mudam.
Também muda em relação à idade dos alunos.
So when we started, the maximum cohort for nursery was 22 children. Then it was reduced to 14.
Quando nós começamos, o grupo era de 22 crianças na educação infantil e desceu para no maternal e desceu para 14.
Yeah, in grade K to 6, there is no maximum cohort size as long as we maintain cohorts.
Para o jardim de infância, não há um número determinado, contanto que se mantenha os grupos separados.
Do jardim ao 6º ano?
Não. Até os 6 anos de idade.
Okay. Maybe I can look at the other questions, try to remember.
Which are the basic tools?
Yeah, the tools. So what are we using? We're using Zoom to do the face-to-face online. I know that other schools are using Skype.
Então, a ferramenta que eles estão usando é o Zoom, e para outras coisas também o Skype.
And we're using Google Classroom to exchange documents.
O Google Classroom para troca de documentos.
And they're using PowerPoint, Prezi, and what's the other one?
PowerPoint, o outro Prezi.
Prezi is to make presentations.
É um PowerPoint sofisticado.
There's another tool to do videos. I can't remember what it is. Not right now. It will come back. Okay. But that's what we're using. And I wouldn't say these are necessarily the best tools. It's just that we had people who knew those tools among the faculty, and so they taught those tools to the others.
Não necessariamente essas são as melhores ferramentas, mas no corpo de professores havia alguns que já conheciam e ensinaram os outros a usá-las.
We did not spend time evaluating tools.
Nós não
We just took the ones we knew,
trabalhando
basically.
ferramentas.
All right. In the classroom, do you have what sort of equipment?
So it depends on the teachers, but typically we have a computer, a webcam, and a document camera.
Então, a pergunta é que instrumentos são usados em sala de aula. Ele diz, via de regra, um computador, uma webcam e uma câmera que registra documentos.
Good. And this question is really interesting for us about recording. Do you record the whole body of the teacher, or is it allowed to appear just parts of the teacher? For example, the hands working. This have you discussed about that? Because on one side, there is.
A
pergunta está escrita no chat, Peter. Eu estou só traduzindo. So, in one side, there is this question on the image formation of the human being, the entire human being. And on the other hand, the difficulty of focus on something more specific when you have the entire person. For example, for making watercolor painting. How have you discussed that?
So,
how are you working with that?
Yeah, I'm not aware of that, a discussion about that, but I'm not part of all the meetings.
Ele está ao par que tem havido uma discussão desse tema.
What I've seen teachers doing is they show their face. It's the most common thing.
O que eu vi professores fazendo é mostrar o rosto, que é o mais comum.
Then you'll have, for instance, the eurythmy teacher or the games teacher might actually show their whole body because they move.
O professor de eurythmia e de educação física é o corpo inteiro.
And then when we have the document camera, for instance, and someone is doing a drawing, you're going to see just the hand.
E quando nós temos o uso da câmara de documentos e alguém está mostrando alguma coisa, um desenho, então a gente vê só a mão, geralmente.
Okay.
There is a question from Luciana in English. Do you think this online experience will impact the way the teaching is done once everything goes back to normal?
So it is hard to tell. I think there might be parts, things that we might keep. But I think everybody is hungry to go back to where we were before.
É difícil responder essa pergunta. Eu acho que haverá algumas coisas que nós vamos manter, mas a vontade de todo mundo voltar ao presencial é muito grande, a fome.
One part that might happen, and it's just me saying that, is the parents. So when we do online teaching, suddenly the parents are involved. And sometimes we have parents sitting next to their children during the class.
Então, o que acontece nesse ensino à distância é que muitas vezes há o envolvimento dos pais, e muitas vezes o pai está ao lado da criança enquanto a aula está sendo dada para a criança.
And so parents might be asking afterwards to remain involved and see some of the assignments or things like that for homework, and ask that there is something that remains. In other schools, or maybe we start translating. I'll keep going afterwards.
E há então pais que pedem que eles possam continuar participando ao lado da criança do que está sendo passado para elas. Aí ele falou alguma coisa de outras escolas, Carla, você pegou o que ele falou?
So
É mais ou menos a mesma coisa.
Sim. Thank you, Pierre. Could you go on?
yeah, so in the other schools, in non-Waldorf schools, very commonly schools have portals, and the parents connect in the evening, and they see all the homework that's assigned, and they make sure that the children do the homework, and there's a lot of anxiety that gets built around it.
Em outras escolas, os pais ficam muito ansiosos em saber o que as crianças estão fazendo, e muitas vezes aparecem discussões.
E também eles checam ao final do dia, eles entram no computador para ver se os filhos fizeram todas as tarefas, cumpriram tudo que eles tinham que cumprir. Os pais de escolas não Waldorf têm feito isso.
And so in our school, we always resisted having anything like that.
E na nossa escola, nós resistimos de ter alguma coisa nesse sentido.
We want the children to be in charge of the homework.
Nós queremos que as crianças estejam encarregadas das tarefas que fazem.
Getting organized, and we don't want the parents to substitute themselves to that.
E as crianças se organizarem, e não queremos os pais sendo substitutos para isso.
But I suspect that many parents are going to say, hey, we want to keep the Google Classroom. We want to keep...
Eu suspeito que muitos pais vão querer dizer, olha, a gente quer continuar a manter o Google Classroom.
So that they can see when there's an assignment, if the child has done it, and sit with the child and do all of that.
De maneira que eles podem ver quando foi passada uma lição, estar sentada com a criança, ver que a criança fez a lição.
So I think that's one place of high risk.
Esse é um ponto de alto risco.
The other part that might happen is that there will be probably more working collaboration between the students, especially in middle school and high school, doing homework.
Outra coisa que pode acontecer, ou deve acontecer, é que haverá uma colaboração mútua, principalmente entre os alunos do ensino fundamental 2 e do ensino médio. Colaboração para fazer os seus trabalhos.
But it might actually be good, because what was happening in the past is that a lot of students in high school particularly were doing homework with a phone next to them and texting.
O que no passado acontecia várias vezes deles estarem fazendo as tarefas com o fone e passando textos.
E escrevendo, né? Eu acredito que não vinculado à tarefa, do jeito que ele falou. Então, o aluno está sozinho fazendo a lição de casa, normalmente, e ao mesmo tempo que ele está na lição, ele está com fone de ouvido, ouvindo alguma coisa, e trocando mensagens com os colegas. Isso é o que ocorria antes.
And the texting is very disruptive.
E essa troca de textos, ela distrai muito.
But if we now have them actually do actual work together through, Zoom, that might actually be better. That might solve the social thing and then, produce some work.
Se eles são incentivados a fazerem trabalhos conjuntos através de Zoom, de colaboração mútua, talvez isso os incentive a não entrar naquele outro modo de, paralelamente, ficar passando textos.
But we need to not go too far in that, so that they still can retain the individual work, where they just work just by themselves, and and not be...
Dá para não ir muito longe nisso aí, e podermos continuar a manter trabalho individual também.
So, all right.
Só para ficar claro, esse texto é o WhatsApp, né? Só para deixar claro, né? Esse texto que ele menciona é o WhatsApp, por exemplo. São as mensagens...
Por exemplo, né? Tem vários, além do WhatsApp, tem outros, né? De mensagem. There is another question. What is the effect that you noticed in kids, in the children, on the different school levels until now? Can you already see some consequences on that?
of being online? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So parents have reported, many parents have reported some sort of sadness in their children.
Dos efeitos que vários pais relatam é ver tristeza nas crianças.
And when we started, going back on campus, there was a hunger from the students. They were ready to do anything to be on campus, wearing masks, physical distancing, anything as long as they could be with their friends.
Quando abriu a possibilidade de voltarem para a escola, eles estavam com muita vontade, até se submeterem a fazer várias coisas do distanciamento social, de usar máscara, estavam a ponto de fazer qualquer coisa para poder estar junto.
And we also saw a lot of the connection with the teacher became something even more important than before.
E a gente observou também que a relação com o professor parece que se tornou mais importante do que antes.
And Pierre, for coming back to school with the kids, what sort of training did you do with the teachers? Para voltar ao presencial, que tipo de treinamento foi feito com os professores?
So we have a framework with 14 different tools for controlling COVID on campus. And so we train the teachers to understand, they're not responsible for all the tools, but they're responsible for some of the tools. And so we train them on how to do the trade-offs.
Nós temos uma gama de 14 ferramentas diferentes como protocolo. E então nós ensinamos não que usem todas, mas que usem algumas.
Nem todas são responsabilidade do professor, algumas são responsabilidade do professor.
Obrigado.
So for instance, on our campus, a teacher can decide to be outside or inside. When they're inside, they can decide to open the doors and the windows or turn the ventilation on. And so they can so everybody was wearing masks, but then there's physical distancing. And so we can have a little bit more of that or a little bit less of that. And so,
dependendo de onde se encontra, fora ou dentro de sala de aula, com porta aberta ou janela aberta ou com ventilação, acredito que é o ar-condicionado, tudo isso reflete sobre o distanciamento social e o uso de máscaras.
É como se fosse uma composição, né? Eles têm vamos assim, um cardápio de coisas que, se estiver com janela aberta, não precisa ligar o ventilador. Se a janela estiver fechada, tem que ligar o ventilador. Então, uma série de regras que se compõem e os professores manejam isso quando é dentro de sala, quando é fora de sala.
A decisão é do professor e, diante da decisão do professor, existem as medidas necessárias para cada instante, para cada possibilidade.
And did you have sort of emotional training or training for handle with emotional issues or things like that? Se teve algum tipo de treinamento para questões emocionais, para lidar com questões emocionais vindas dos alunos e dos professores?
So in the high school, we have a person who's in charge of, she's actually a therapist. She doesn't work as a therapist, but she's a therapist. And so she is there to help teachers or students, with the, students' emotional issues. So we haven't really done a training for that, but we have that resource if we need it.
Just for high school.
Uma terapeuta para lidar com questões como essa, mas não foi feito nenhum treinamento específico para lidar com as questões emocionais.
E ela não está ali para atuar como terapeuta, mas para dar algum apoio, tanto para alunos quanto para professores. Just for high school, Pierre, for the lower grades, you don't?
So for the lower grade, we don't have someone, but we could use her if there was a problem for advice.
How many students do you have?
No ensino fundamental, não temos ninguém para isso, mas a gente pode usá-la caso seja necessário.
So normally we have about 300 to 400 students.
Normalmente,
to
eles
400.
têm entre 300 e 400 alunos.
All right. Looking backwards now, do you think it would be important? It would have been important to have this training as well?
We haven't seen a lot of big emotional issues coming back so far.
Okay.
We have no, I mean, we haven't, I don't think we have seen them. Maybe we haven't been back for a whole week yet, right?
A gente talvez ainda não tenha uma experiência para... O retorno foi bem recente para já falar sobre, ter alguma informação sobre isso.
But what I'll say is that we need to survey.
Se olhando para trás, eles veem que teria sido importante fazer um treinamento como esse. Sorry.
What I'll say is that we did a survey back in end of August, I think, to the survey with the parents. And one of the question was, how has your relationship with your child been through COVID? And overwhelmingly, the parents have said, sorry, that their relationship with their children had, improved. And they actually had spent more time with their children. They had, just been, it was better. They discovered the children. They were busy before. They were working out of the home. Now they spend time with the child. They do things together. They're present.
No final de agosto, fizeram uma pesquisa e uma das perguntas da pesquisa era como é que você avalia a sua relação com o seu filho durante o COVID. E a grande maioria disse que melhorou, que foi uma experiência de aproximação.
And so I think it actually builds, security and safety with the children. And what I've observed is that in nursery and kindergarten, we had less problem with separation anxiety.
With what?
Separation anxiety. At the beginning of the year, the parents can't leave their child and the child cries because the parents are walking away, and we had less of that.
Então, e eles perceberam que no maternal houve menos ansiedade de separação, que é um
problema comum.
Um problema bastante comum, as mães e crianças se tornarem ansiosas quando se separam. Isso diminuiu. There is a question here. Você não quer falar dessa pergunta do professor?
How did you have issues with the children whose teachers could not go back because some health issue or something? Did you have situations with kids whose teachers were not back to school?
So we've had, even though some teachers have had some, would have some reasons for not going back to school. Almost most of them, all the class teachers definitely decided to go back.
Professores de classe decidiram retornar.
Pessoais, todos eles decidiram voltar para a escola. Dos professores de classe, mesmo tendo dificuldades pessoais, decidiram voltar.
And we had one teacher in high school, an art teacher who decided not to go back in June. And, she's, people like her and all that, but it's not, she doesn't have a very important role in the life of the children. She's not a class teacher.
Uma professora do ensino médio de artes decidiu que não voltaria. Porém, ela não é alguém que desempenha um papel muito importante na vida dos alunos.
Assim como o professor de classe desempenha, né?
And in kindergarten, we had one teacher who did not come back. And what we did is that we moved the children to the other kindergartens, and we're going to reopen that third kindergarten when we can. So the children basically changed teacher.
Dos professores de jardim de infância não pôde voltar, e o que eles fizeram é que relocaram as crianças nas outras salas de aula, até que esse professor volte para retomar a sala.
But I must also...
Pierre.
Sorry?
We are coming to the end, okay? If you...
Okay.
For more 3 or 4 minutes, that would be nice. Eu falei para ele que nós estamos chegando ao final da conversa, quem sabe mais uns 3 ou 4 minutos, tá bom?
So, one more question. Did you notice any improvement on the relation, on the teacher's relation with the anthroposophy studies? Se ele percebeu algum incremento da relação com os estudos antroposóficos por parte dos professores?
That I don't know, actually. The teachers were doing the study of man last year. They were finishing that. You know, I don't want to answer that question because I'm not always part of those meetings.
Essa pergunta porque ele não sabe bem. Ele só sabe que o ano passado os professores estavam terminando o estudo da arte da educação. Não sei se 1, 2 e 3, mas pelo menos da arte da educação.
Antropologia geral. Study of Man é o primeiro.
I know at the same time, there's something else on that, is that, you know, in the US we had, you know, issues with Black Lives Matter, and we had to go through some, we started doing DEI, which is diversity, equity, of inclusion. And so there was a lot of work going on with the teachers around that, and they had to revisit some of the things that Steiner said that tend to be misunderstood. So they did also work around that. I was kind of going on in parallel, in going on in the faculty. And so they also reconnected with some parts of anthroposophy through that.
Havia também uma coisa que aconteceu, foi aquele movimento que a vida do negro tem importância, que tem toda essa questão de
revisitar o que o Steiner falou nesses temas de diversidade, equidade e inclusão. And one more question: did the OSNA, the American Waldorf School Association, did they promote something or did something on the COVID situation for everybody, like online seminars or things like that, for teachers, for parents? Se a Associação Norte-Americana promoveu algum tipo de coisa para professores ou pais em relação à pandemia?
So they did a lot of things. So they were seminars for teachers, for school administrators, for different for boards and for different people in the school. They connected
para professores, para administradores, cursos.
So they connected all the schools. Every time someone had was creating a handbook, was ahead of the others, we would exchange that and pass that information on to the other schools.
Criaram contato mais intenso entre as escolas, compartilhando o handbook, o
manual.
Compartilharam os manuais com o outro para ver o que poderia ser melhorado.
So we knew about the experience of the other schools that were either reopening or not reopening.
E a gente ficou sabendo da experiência das outras escolas quanto a abrir ou não abrir. Reabrir ou não reabrir.
Okay. Thank you very much for all.
You're welcome. Yeah,
Thank you.
Especially to you, Pierre.
I hope I could help.
Thank you very much. Do you mind?
It was very interesting.
Please, do you mind if we keep in touch with you and to share some articles and experiences and data?
Sure. Yeah, I'll be happy to do that.
Thank you very much. Então, agradeci, galera. Disse a ele pedir para a gente manter contato e trocar alguns artigos, dados, etc. Então, a gente vai compartilhar, tá bom? Alguém gostaria de fazer uma fala especial para encerrar o trabalho com ele? E homenageá-lo?
So, how was your experience of being invited for this meeting in Brazil?
Well, it was good. It's the working with translation was new to me, but I think it worked. It's it's interesting also. Some of your questions are kind of new, like the questions on anthroposophy or the body or things like that. There were not things that we never discussed a lot of things in the school.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's interesting to hear about it and think about it.
Hey Pierre, this is Jairo. I share you with your information you share with me about CS Unplugged. I shared and let's see, maybe for us, mainly here in Brazil, it could be one path ahead, using in the school how to teach technology without computer or using smartphone technologies. So it's a new for us. So thanks a lot.
There's a lot of things that can be done around that.
May I make a last question, Pierre?
Carla, espera. O Jairo acho que não traduziu o que ele falou.
Eu compartilhei no Classroom uma informação que ele compartilhou comigo sobre, chama-se Ciências da Computação Desconectada. E é uma forma de ensinar essa parte de tecnologia para os alunos sem usar a tecnologia. Então é bem interessante, e o Pierre que compartilhou comigo há um tempo que eu estava fazendo uma pesquisa, ele que fez esse compartilhamento.
Põe na roda, Jairo.
Já está lá no Classroom.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Então, estamos terminando. Carla, eu vou pedir para a gente encerrar, por favor.
Sim.
Só para perguntar se eles estão usando esse livro lá, se está sendo referência para eles como está sendo no Brasil.
Are you using this book, which is...
Are you using this?
I don't think I know this book. What is the title?
The title in German is Gesund aufwachsen in der digitalen Medienwelt.
Oh, I think I know it. It's with a
From Michaela Glückler.
Yes, I think I haven't told it, but I've been working on a film about children and technology. That is, a documentary film, and it's, moving forward. So I worked with several people in Germany, and we went to interview them and talk to them. And so I think I talked to the people who wrote that book. I think in Germany it has a different.
Ele está trabalhando num documentário sobre a questão com crianças e tecnologia, e entrevistou pessoas. Esse documentário entrevista pessoas que fizeram esse livro.
The film is right now it's called Broken Promises, and you can look on the web. It's called Kids and Tech film, I think, or .org or something like that.
Is it finished?
No, the film is not finished, but there's a preview on the web. Let me look for the name of the website.
O filme ainda não está pronto, mas na website já tem a promessa quebrada, o título. Ele vai passar o encontro.
So
The English version.
It's kidsandtech.film. Kidsandtech.film.
Alguém anotou aí? É Kids and Tech. What's a tech?
Technology.
I'll write it.
Tech from technology.
Technology.
Ok.
Film.
Film, tá. Aí vocês põem aí porque isso é no bate-papo.
Yeah, I've seen, Carla. Yes, I've seen this. Yes.
Right.
I've seen it.
So thank you very much, Pierre. It was a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for all your time with us and your knowledge also. We'll keep in touch.
Okay.
So can we please give him some signs of our thank you?
Yes, and share this experience with your school.
Okay, I will.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you are free of us now, Pierre. We
Okay.
just end the session. Thank you
Thank you
very
very
much.
much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
It was awesome.